From Content 360, this is the state of client acquisition.
In today's video, I'm going to be discussing why it's important to sell before build, to sell your course, your coaching program, any form of productized service offering, and to do that to sell it to someone before you actually end up building the whole thing. And a lot of people make the mistake of building something first before they present it to the market, and they waste months in the process and they procrastinate on the one thing that is the most important one, which is revenue, generating customer insight, and growing the business itself. So let me just give you a little bit of context here. So let's say you are a consultant, a coach, an agency, anyone who's providing a complex service to your clients, and you do it on a done-for-you basis. Now, if you wanted to scale this, you would either have the option to just hire people, or alternatively, you productize your service, which means very often that you move from lean startup. Yes, Kent, good to be reminded of that. Absolutely. If you need a great book on this similar topic, is Eric Ries, The Lean Startup. So yeah, as I said, if you have any form of complex service that you're trying to package up and productize it, many people will make the mistake of building it first, and that is obviously the wrong thing. This is the whole point of this video. And it's a great way to scale because you move from done-for-you services into coaching, and you essentially show your clients on how they can do the work that you used to provide on a done-for-you basis. You show them how they can do it themselves. But it could also be, does not necessarily have to be that you want to scale. It's even when you are a coach who's just starting out and you just want to provide some form of a structure of, let's say, a 6-week curriculum. If you want to build something like this, it's also highly advisable that you only create an initial skeleton, but that you don't build the whole thing up front. And we're going to be discussing why that is and why that is so important. So the issue with building before selling is that you create usually past the market. If you don't exactly know what your client wants, you may produce content, 90% of which then won't be applicable to them. And that is exactly what we want to avoid. And although the knowledge, the kind of the sell before build, the lean approach to business, as one LinkedIn user says, although it's already out there in the market, people very often know it. I personally keep meeting consultants, coaches, agency owners over and over who start on this route of first building something and only then presenting it to the market. I recently met somebody who, I'm not kidding you, told me he has been working on his course for the last 3 months, virtually full time. And I asked him, has a client? No, doesn't have a client yet. So that's because it pains me. I just said, I'm going to be creating this video. By the way, as a quick aside, why is it so compelling that we are more drawn towards building something rather than selling? Well, first of all, it's a great distraction because you feel like you're doing something really productive. And building is relatively easy if you compare it to getting rejected over and over by your market. So that's not nice, and therefore we gravitate more towards something that is nicer. Also, there's a certain level of perfectionism, and I think this is a bigger problem than most people think, because you always feel that you have to have something that is, even if it's not completely perfect, you still need to have something that is already there. And what you are forgetting is that you are effectively the product that you are selling. People are buying into you because of your expertise and the work that you have done, the testimonials that you have had in the past, the client successes you've helped your clients achieve. And so therefore, even if you don't yet have a completely perfect, polished video portal yet, that doesn't mean anything. You will build it as you grow with the client, but you don't need to think that you even have to have a version 1 already done when you start with the client. You will build version 1 with them. And how to get there, we're going to be discussing this in 3 very clear, very straightforward steps. And final reason why we are gravitating towards building, that is just the aside, is because we have this image of the tortured author who's sitting in his ivory tower, crafting his magnum opus before unleashing it on the market. And that is true maybe in book publishing, especially when you write fiction, not so much when you write nonfiction these days. But with a book, yes, that makes sense that you first have to create it before you share it with the market. But as far as a business is concerned, it's always much better to validate it with the market first before going all in and building it. Okay, so At this point, you will probably ask, we'll talk, how do we do this? How do I even sell something that hasn't been built yet? And it was same question that I asked myself back in 2019 when I had plenty of clients under my belt as a content marketing agency. I had helped my clients to win clients via LinkedIn, so I was pretty experienced with it. But I had been doing it for them. I had been running a done-for-you service. Effectively, it was an agency model. And I will never forget that. It was the 5th or 6th of December, 2019, when I had it was 2 strangers that I had on the phone on 2 days, on the 5th and 6th of December, and I just sold them. Somebody who had never spoken to me before. It was on the same call, or just one day after, one 15-minute call, one 60-minute call, but within a matter of 2 days, they paid me over the phone. It was at the time, it was £3,000. And I was just completely blown away that somebody would do that, complete stranger, to buy into something that hasn't even been built yet. And so these are the steps that you need to take in order to achieve something like this. So first of all, step 1, you build a 2-page skeleton with the entire structure of the program. If it's a 6-week program, you just map out those weeks. What are you going to be discussing? But importantly, don't go overboard. Really, don't make it longer than 2 standard Word document pages. Normal font size, okay? Don't go into font 4 or anything like that. Just normal font size 10 or 11, and map it out. If it's 6 weeks, what are the 6 main building blocks, and 5 to 10 items? What will you be discussing in each of those points? And then think MISI, mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive. Are you covering everything in that program, in this transformation that you are providing to your clients? And that's it, right? With this 2-page skeleton, you go into step 2, and that is selling it to your prospects. And if you think, okay, how do I sell it to prospects? You now already have means how you get people on the phone. Somebody who is a potential client, the only change now being is that you really listen well to what they need. And if you feel that they could make use both of your done-for-you services and your new course, your new product, your program, then you assess what would be best for them, and then you present them with that. You could say, listen, I've been doing this on a done-for-you basis, but I feel that in your case, what could work even better is if we were to work on this together, and I help you to implement these skills in-house. We do a coaching program together. I don't have it built yet, but you would be my first client, and we would be going through this process together. You would have unprecedented access to me that no other further clients further down the line would get. That is usually a very compelling pitch. And here's already the transparency that is very important that you maintain at this point. You tell them, if they ask, you don't have to necessarily volunteer that information, but if they ask, you will say, yes, no, I don't have it built yet. The structure is there, and this is the structure I will be taking you through. But very importantly, you will have way more access to me than anyone in the future at this price. And we will build those modules that you need as we go. And that is super key, because this is how you avoid doing these unnecessary 90% of the work that will ultimately not serve you and that your clients will not be actually asking for. Because just to give you my example, I get clients who need help with client acquisition, usually B2B, but also some high-ticket B2C. And usually the 2 main tactics that we use is outbound prospecting and content. And people come with me with different skill sets. Some are really good with outbound prospecting, and some are slightly less good. And so with those who are less good, we just focus on that. And so imagine if I get the first client, they're great with content, but don't know how to start conversations with strangers. There, I would just build that one module that they need to focus on. And then client 2 comes in, and they are very good with outbound prospecting, just have never done any content. So I built this second module, which is all about how to do good content on LinkedIn. And like this, the whole content portal, if you want, the whole course grows organically, and I only build the individual modules that the client specifically needs. I don't build anything superfluous. And you're very completely transparent with your client that this is how the process will work. You will be giving them only what they need, And whenever they feel like they're struggling with something, they can just book a call and you'll coach them on a one-on-one basis, giving them your best possible knowledge. And this will then become the next module for future clients to benefit from. Okay, so that was step 2. Step 1 is build the skeleton. Step 2, offer it to people who you have on the phone as prospects and see if you can win them to becoming clients for this. And then step 3, you build it as you go. You gotten them into the program, you exactly listen to what they need, you build those individual modules as you go and as they grow, and you give them, as I mentioned, I would honestly offer them, like, you just give them your WhatsApp number and they can contact you at any time. You will be super responsive. You respond to every one of their messages because this is a great investment. You will really learn what your target clients need and be able to respond accordingly. Okay? And that is how your content library grows. It's going to be layer upon layer upon layer. Recently, I renewed the entire contents of the Alpha Lead Academy, and I removed the very last of the very first videos that I did. So in the first version, when I got these 2 clients in, I built the very first version of 5 videos. And in November of last year, 2021, I was digging through the entire content program. I was just renewing it completely from the ground up. And that was when I removed the very last piece of the original 5 video modules that I did. So it was quite a nostalgic moment for me. Good. So in summary, here are the main reasons why you should sell it before you build it. Number 1, you save time. You avoid overbuilding and creating irrelevant parts of your course. Second, you win very valuable customer insight. You build only what the client really needs. And third, you focus on what matters most, which is revenue. You don't waste time locked up in your ivory tower, creating something that may be completely irrelevant for your target market, but you win revenue. And how do I recommend that you do it? Step 1, build a 2-page skeleton. Step 2, get prospects on the phone or on Zoom to understand if there could be a fit. And if there is a fit, just offer them this program. And step 3, deliver it to them in full transparency that you're building it as you go. In exchange for slower delivery, they will get unlimited access to you and can ask you any questions and will get additional one-on-one sessions as and when they need it. And you will then only enroll the next client into the program once you are ready and when you feel that you've served the first client well enough. And then for the second client, the first building blocks are already in place and you can just get them in and deliver to them only those building blocks that they need. And that is how you execute on the idea of sell before build.
The State of Client Acquisition is a Content 360 production. Music by Gavin Knox-Grand. To sign up for alerts and to submit written and audio questions, go to stateofclientacquisition.com.
Loose sleeves in his high-speed condition. Montreal girls in the tail end of winter. Caffeine burns, wide awake dreams in color. Blood on my hands in this open heart journey. And infinite numbers, rapid fire across the country. We slide tonight. And the light on the ocean so bright. With my eyes closed, we slide tonight.